In today's video, let's talk about the difference between building a relationship and creating connections in the classroom. So let's talk about this. There's so much conversation surrounding relationship building in the classroom. And for years, I was very guilty of that was really the driving force behind my main message. But I started to reflect recently and started to come to a realization the difference between relationship building and connections. So in education, there's so many driving conversations around building relationships with students in the classroom. And I was very guilty of following that pattern for an extended period of time until one educator shared a little insight that I thought was totally profound. She said, "Hey, Mr. Curtis, I don't have a problem connecting with kids, but building a relationship with over 100 kids is not something I'm interested in doing." And I never really thought about this until she framed it this way, and it made me start to think about the difference between building a relationship and just simply creating connections in the classroom. And I think for most educators, it sounds like so much work to build a relationship. And it made me start to reflect on our own practices and our own methodology. And philosophically, I had to take a different approach and started to recognize the difference in the classroom, having the responsibility of building a relationship with over 100 kids, while simply asking teachers to create concretes of connections in the classroom, I think is a very simplistic way that teachers can see the difference between building a relationship and creating connections in the classroom. Now, let me go personal here for a second. I started to reflect on this concept so much that I started to reflect on my own personal life. Now, you don't know this about me, but I recently got married. And when I got married, I only met my wife and got engaged in 18 days. I know, crazy, isn't it? And then we got married 40 days later. So at 58 days, I am married to this new person. And what I reflect on through my marriage, over 1 year of marriage now, is I look back at it and go, oh my God, a strong connection is what brought us together. But ultimately, I realized it took an entire year to build a relationship with my wife. And I started to recognize even the differences in my own personal life between creating a strong connection and building that relationship. Those two components work together, but ultimately I had to create the connection first before I could build that relationship. So I can see how this can still be overwhelming to any teacher, whether it's relationship or connection. You probably hear the same word. So let me remind you and just break this down for you that when I look at creating connections in the classroom, first of all, I think in education, we're taught so much to be a teacher, but we're rarely taught how to create connections with kids. I think that education is missing formal coursework in this. And I believe that creating connections in the classroom can be so simple. And yet we're taught how to be profound teachers in the classroom, teaching content and curriculum, helping our students to be successful for life. But who teaches us how to connect with kids? And it's interesting because everybody does it so different. And I love that. In fact, I don't want a cookie cutter or a canned approach. I want to set teachers up for success so everybody gets to be their own person. But the hard part for that is that there's no universal toolkit for teachers how to create connections. And that's what I love about the connection-driven classroom. It sets teachers up for success with 4 tools that take less than 2 minutes. And not only does it create connections between you and students, it teaches other students how to connect with each other. It teaches you how to connect with them and them how to connect with you. I think this is the foundation for every classroom to move forward in creating connections in the classroom. And then once you have those connections built, you can build relationships, but it's got to start with connections first. All right, before we move on, please like and subscribe. And it's amazing to hear the testimonials of teachers that are currently working in the classroom that are saying, you know what, Mr. Curtis, I wasn't sure exactly how to create those connections and build relationships, but these tools have not only transformed my classroom, and the fact that they take less than 2 minutes, oh my God, what teacher doesn't want to do something efficiently and effectively? And they started to see a decrease in their behaviors in the classroom. They started to see more increase in student engagement and overall better learning environments. And to me, this is the game changer. This is what can make a difference in your classroom by simply creating a concrete of connections, and you can build that foundation to build any relationship you need in the building. So if you're interested in creating connections in the classroom or learning more about our methods, I'm going to encourage you to come to our website at ddiscipline.com.